Hello.
¿Cómo estás?
I got the gummy bears theme in my head.
Oh. Well, I often sing Sunny Bear, bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Yeah,
Sunny is the name of our dog.
You hadn't. I don't know why it's in my head. I mean, it is a banger. Like, it's a classic.
I was just singing it this morning.
Were you?
Yes.
Oh.
Sorry.
Well, that's why. Stupid song. So
Yes.
what's up? What's happening? What brings you to the closet today?
Did you like my Spanish? I've been working on Spanish.
Yeah, I for a second, I'm like, oh my God, I married a Spaniard. And then I'm like, oh, wait, that's still Caroline. Like, it was so fluid. What's dog in Spanish? What's dog?
Perros?
Pero. Yeah.
Leche? Milk? Tu eres un hombre.
You put this weird French inflection in your Spanish.
I do.
It's real weird because I don't know what's coming. I'm expecting le chien, and then I get something completely different.
No, le chien is dog
See how I did that?
in French. Very different in Spanish. But some things are similar. Leche, ley.
Mm-hmm.
Tu hablos español?
Do I speak Spanish?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Me neither.
The only Spanish I know is things like band names, like Hermanos Gutierrez. Or
Je sais un
Loco.
petit peu de français. Mais c'est différent.
People are going to tune into this and think we're both having strokes.
Why?
Like,
I'm really good at franglais. Is there spanglais?
There must be. You just did it.
Did I?
Pretty close.
All right. Or Franish. Franish. I can do Franish.
Yeah. Yeah, you can.
Okay, so my question of the day actually was interesting because I was listening to another psychologist not too long ago who's giving faulty information, faulty statistics. But that's not like the podcast isn't about calling that out, but I was just going to say.
But if you were to call it out and directly call out the person, who would that be? No, I'm just kidding.
It's just terrible because people believe us.
Here's what we've been talking about, gentle listener. Here's what drives my beautiful, overachieving wife nuts. And I agree with her. People want answers without effort.
Yeah.
And so I've rambled on about this, about the Instagram and the influencers and stuff like that. But there is a much more dangerous precedent being set by health professionals that, like, a perfect example in the States is Dr. Oz. That guy is the worst. And he gives bad information. He gives information from sponsors that it doesn't really disclose stuff. Like, he's just bad.
Does he? I have no idea.
Oh, he's the worst.
I just remember him from when he was on Oprah.
Yeah, that's how he got his big start. And then he went off and had his own show, and which led him to try and run for office. And he was brutal in that too. Anyways, people flock to that because there's no repercussion to what they're saying. They get to hear what they want to hear, which is like, no, queen, you do you. You're on that mountaintop. You're the one that has the tough life. You got to take care of you, right? And all these catchphrases and all these things that they throw out that a person gets to listen to and go, yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. When really what they fundamentally need to hear is, no, dude, it takes work to be a better person. It takes focus to actually do things. It sucks sometimes, but at the end of it, you end up being the person or the parent or the employee or the partner that you want to be. That's not what people want. They want someone to be like, no, you had a tough day at a job. You deserve to watch 4 hours of TV and The Bachelorette and drink your wine and because that's you. And people are like, yeah, that's right. I do deserve it. And that's what people like she who shall not be named are building a massive following about, right?
Oh, yeah, because she makes everyone feel good and inspired, but there's no tangible anything. Like, I'm like, what was the takeaway that parents could pick up and do right now to go help their kids, right? Other than like inspiration, I feel good. But anyways, that's not the point. I kind of got derailed.
No, but it's important to specify because you and I in this podcast are not experts. We were parents of the year, but sorry, let me put that back. 50% of us are not experts. 50% of us are most definitely an expert, right? And out of that, you do try and make sure that there's a tangible takeaway. You do always try and tie it back to research or things people can do or things that people can look at or any different number of things. That is a rarity. And those that do it typically don't do it that much or that well, or they give one thing. Well, you know what? Just one easy thing. Just every day you do. Bleh. I remember you were talking about one of, and I don't know if it was this person or someone else's, but the list of things they gave on how you can make yourself better over the course of 30 days. And like certain things were like dress up to go to work and like just real basic stuff, right?
That we hear all the time.
Yeah.
That perpetuates that something's wrong with you if you're not happy, right?
Exactly. But anyways, that's the only reason I think that it's not a bad thing for us to start with, because we do try and always come with what our experience is and then something that someone can take away and try and apply.
Something
right?
concrete. Yeah.
Yes.
And because I do hear a lot of, well, even for myself, I went to grief counseling once. I had a major loss in my life, and literally the counselor told me to go get a manicure done. I'm like, lady, have you seen me? Like, I am the last person in the universe who will ever get a manicure. Maybe for my wedding. And even then, I didn't make it the 2 hours to the actual ceremony because it drove me nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not that person, but that was it. That was it. So anyway, it does take work.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the point of all of that is to be a critical listener. There's so many blogs. There is such an information dump. You can find whatever it is that you're looking for to support whatever it is that you want on the internet, and everything's about a quick fix. Just smile, just give yourself a high five and you'll be happy.
5 tips to being a better parent.
Yeah, all of those things, right? And when you look, it really is just sort of the same thing, rehashed, regurgitated, but it doesn't acknowledge the hard stuff. So I guess, and even with medical doctors, it wasn't until I became a psychologist myself and was like, oh, maybe we don't really know everything, that I'm like, maybe doctors don't actually, like medical doctors don't actually know everything. They don't. We're all just people. They don't know everything either. So I think that we grow up thinking these are the experts. They know better than us. We don't know, but you do. And just be a critical thinker with everything. And your family, you and your kids, you are the experts there. Take what works for you and leave the rest. I will say that. But it takes work. There's no easy magic pill. And actually, I was just doing a school thing the other day, and 2 of the parents like, just tell us, like, Caroline, just give us the quick fix. And I'm like, goodbye. Like, there is no quick, if you're looking for a quick fix, please, there's the door.
Yeah.
Because there is no quick fix.
The one thing I will say about the critical thinking thing and knowing yourself and your kids, that's true. You do. But at the same time, most of the people that barely got through Bio 30 in high school shouldn't then be dismissing some of the expertise that is out there.
True.
Right.
True.
But again, critical thinking doesn't mean everything yourself.
And I'm talking about parenting stuff too in this regard. And it's not like I always say, ignorance is a bliss. We are probably happier when we just think we're doing everything we should be doing. And like, I'm the adult. I said so because I'm the adult. So go do as I say. Those people aren't listening to these podcasts, right? No. And so they are just going to follow what they think is best because that's what they learned and everything else. So I think, there is some experimentation and you're going to try, there's some trial and error. Yeah, no, medical stuff. I mean, do listen to medical doctors. Absolutely. But they can make mistakes.
Absolutely. They can, but they've probably got a bit more of a head start on knowing things than you do.
And I'm just saying, don't take everything, because there were quite a few things that it's like, but it was even just, the other night, and it was all faulty information. But anyways, all of this to say, do I even remember my question?
Don't know.
So the question was, actually, I won't even give, because I don't want to give it away in case it's part of the psychologist's big talk. So I won't even give away the faulty information that she was talking about. But what I am going to say is, parents have made parenting way harder on themselves than ever before. And when we look at some of the research, we're actually spending way more time with our kiddos than ever before, than any other generation globally. If you look at all, like I think Slovenia is like, it's still increasing, but not to the huge drastic amounts.
Yeah.
So previous generations, and you might have experienced this, I know I certainly did, weekends, it was always, we follow the parents, right?
Mhm.
Evenings, it's the parents' plan. Weekends, it's parents' errands, it's the parents doing their thing. Like I remember doing bike rides to the zoo when we lived in Winnipeg. Rob doesn't remember that though. So we must not have done it long. That's the only thing I really remember. We're going tobogganing here and there, right?
Yeah.
But most of the time it was kids were on their own. Parents did their thing.
Yeah.
There wasn't a ton of family stuff, really.
Yeah, our weekends were all the errands that couldn't get done during the week.
Yeah. And so parents are trying to optimize the time, right? Kids are overscheduled anyways. It's unbelievable. Even now, it should be off season. And I still see kids running from one practice to another practice, still doing dance every single night. I mean, we're not necessarily any better, but it was by choice. Like Maya wanted to be on 4 ringette teams. She's on 2 traveling teams plus some other things. So she's got 4 teams going on, but she can drive herself. So that makes it awesome for us. But I always see this. I love this off-season time because it's only usually like maybe one thing a week. But parents have made it so much harder because there's so much stress and anxiety around spending every minute to try to teach our kids, to keep them engaged in something, to lecture them, right? So it's either teaching skills or teaching lessons. Like I think parents have just taken so much stress that we've got to do this and we've got to do this and we've got to have the structure.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Because it actually ties into our little rant at the beginning. That is occurring, in my opinion, my humble expert opinion, as 50% of the most expertly crafted podcast on the internet. That is because of the same thing we were just complaining about. The you need to mentality of self-help. To be a better parent, you should be doing these 5 things. Is your kid falling behind because you're not doing this? How to give your kid an advantage to do these things. So we, as the generation that is raising kids now, we're brainwashed in a way to think, oh my God, if my kid isn't doing, that stupid play thing that we used to take Maya to all the time with the Gymboree. We had Gymboree, we had violin lessons, we had swimming.
And not just any violin, like Suzuki for 2-year-olds.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And there were people that were intense. Those were not our people, because we walked in and they were like, this kid practices every day. And we're like, oh, our kid is still eating things off the ground. So no, we don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
But we've fallen into that from time to time. I'd like to think that every so often we kind of come up for air and go, this is dumb. And we just nope out of it.
Well, I remember when I was pregnant, like, I'm not going to be sucked into all of this.
Totally.
But then you have the baby and it's like, what do you mean she's 2 months old and you haven't put her in this brain development class and you're not watching these baby Einstein,
it's all those little things, right? Like, oh my God, you haven't heard of this? These are great. You've got to do the, and then you're like, oh my,
this black and white
oh my God, I guess I got to get this thing and I want to go, oh my God.
Yeah.
And that is what we're seeing now as parents and as families.
I blame screens again.
Yes, she did it, everybody. She mentioned screens in the podcast.
Well, just the amount of information.
But I think it's all of it. I think it's all of it. I think it's because we've tried to figure out what is it about our generation of parents that is different from the parents that raised us, and the street light rule, right? Street lights on, come home. That doesn't exist. We try and, like, Maya went out 10 o'clock the other night. She left and didn't come home until midnight. And we were cool. See ya. Ping us if you got trouble. Otherwise, have fun. And that's kind of our approach, right? She self-governs well enough that if she's tired and doesn't want to go out, she doesn't go out. But I can guarantee you, and I see it on the teams all the time of the older girls. She's 16 years old, right? There are girls that are the same age as her, and these parents, and I will say it flat out, these moms are still helicoptering. They're treating them like 10-year-olds. They are over planning things. They are trying to fill every minute of every day, when really all Maya wanted to do in Montreal was hang with her 3 closest friends on the team. And they actually said that we just want to go back to one of the rooms and just chill and watch a movie.
Well, through the whole year, tournaments and games and stuff, parents were dictating everything.
One of the parents turned around and said, absolutely not. This weekend is about you and your entire team. You're not doing that. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll keep my mouth shut, because I told Maya, I'm like, yeah, go, like, see ya. And immediately it got crushed. And it was by one of the parents of the girl she wanted to go hang out with. And they said, no, absolutely not. This is about you and hanging out with the team and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay.
I get that. It's just when it's every second.
And that was the problem.
And
that was the
problem. To be filled. Like,
and
let's celebrate together once, maybe twice. Yeah. But
it was every night.
Second.
And it was late into the night. And it all comes from the same place of, you gotta fill those, you gotta fill that time, you gotta do this, you gotta make sure you get all these things. And it's no different, because you and I have grumbled about it before. Self-help has become a disease within our culture, because it's selling your inadequacies back to you as a reason to keep doing it.
Well, and they know how our brain works, and our brain hasn't changed at all, and it's actually killing us. What they're telling us to do is literally killing us, but that's a whole other topic.
That is, but it all, I think it all offshoots, and it shoots into what you're talking about here too, right? We don't realize how much time we spend with our kids. I do, because my kids are awful and I hate spending time. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But we don't, like, you think about it, right? Like, I try and prioritize, not anymore because they're getting older, but for years I would try and drive them every morning, right? Especially through COVID, right? That kind of was a blessing that I'm like, no, I'll drive them and pick them up. Because I knew I didn't have much time with them to chill, because we had sports and we had all this other stuff. My parents, no, like -40. Well, I guess you better find those boots I bought you, because you're walking.
Yeah.
See, I've got stuff to do. I
didn't even see my parents. Like,
totally.
Either I left or they were at work or whatever. Like, it was just we come and go. And
like, there was a period I remember when I was a teenager. It was during the downturn in the oil industry. Dad was driving a cab, and he was driving a cab nights. And when it was really tight, he would double shift it. So he'd be gone all day, sleep for a few hours, and go back out in the evening. I wouldn't see him for weeks, right? I don't know that I saw Dad more when he was doing that than I did when he was out of town working in the oil patch. Yeah. And Mom would be out working, like doing whatever job she could get to make extra money. So I wouldn't see her, right? And
my dad was gone months for...
Totally.
He's in the Army, so he was gone like 6 months.
But we've been, and I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, I think being aware of the influence and the time that you can spend with your kids is a good thing.
Totally. Absolutely it is.
But no one puts limits on that, of when it's time to be like, no, they need their own time to chill, or I need my own time to chill, right? I need to stop. I see a lot of parents like this that are coming to this brick wall real fast of, who are you when your kid leaves in 2 years? What is your identity going to be when you're not responsible for 2 other lives? How are you going to fill that gap? Because you've given up on everything. Your main week is kid stuff. Kid goes to have a sleepover. You go drink wine with friends, right? How many times have we seen that repeated? Mm-hmm. So I when we had the conversation initially about that stat, right? It seemed weird, but I'm like, yeah, okay, I guess I could see that. But when you came back and said, no, I actually did more research on this, and this is the stat, it makes way more sense.
Well, so the stat was that grandparents, generations ago, spent way more time with their kids than we do. But that's not actually true. We spend way more time with our kids than previous generations.
Yeah.
But we add so much more stress, because we do feel like we need to structure that time. And so, hear me say this. I mean, I had a very young mom who had no money, didn't have a stable home for some early years. I had a little rag of a doll, and I was still able.
Don't call Rob that.
No, this was well before he was born. He wasn't even in the picture yet. But I had this little raggedy thing. Like, it could have just been a little rag. I think it was maybe a doll at some point. But I got through university, 4.0 GPA, PhD. I didn't have all the mobiles and all of the class. I had no extracurricular activities at all. We just didn't have money. So I did stuff at school, but that was it. They don't need it. They don't need it. Our brain has two modes: task-oriented mode and the default mode. And the default mode, our brain wants to be in default mode at least half of the time. Most of the time, our brain needs to be in default mode.
And is that like a rest mode? Like
default mode is mind wandering.
Okay. Yep.
And it's in mind wandering where all of our great ideas, I know we've talked about this before, because it's usually, when you're just driving or you're in the shower that a great idea comes to you and you're like, I need to write that down, right? It's usually in bed. Kids don't have enough of that, and they need that. Their brain needs that more. That's where creativity and insightfulness and aha moments, that's where it all comes in, is in that default mode, not in the doing. In the doing mode, we are just tiring out their brain resources. We're exhausting them. And that's why we're seeing way more anxiety, way more depression, way more burnout. As they're getting older, they need time in that default mode. So I guess, the point of my question, I haven't even gotten to my question, although we've sort of talked about it, but it's about how do we, because we're talking about, optimizing summer, right? This is going to be the first in the series of optimizing summer. And I do want to make sure we're capitalizing on our time together with our kids, but we do already spend so much time. So how do we make that fruitful, right? And so it's about connection. It's not about doing, teaching, scheduling. Like, what if they had a week that they're not in a camp or summer in camp, right? Like, that's the one thing that I love about the cabin is we don't do camps. And I never did a camp ever when I was a kid.
Here's a funny thing about that, because the same people that are like, oh yeah, I can't not have them in a camp because all they would do is sit around at home on their screen, on their phone. I'm like, well, bruh, who created that?
Yeah.
Right. And you're right, because it's more of that filling a gap that you yourself created with decisions you made. One thing about us being at the cabin and the connection piece, there's 2 or 3 things that they always want to do at the cabin: roast marshmallows and have a fire, or just sit on the dock and go on the boat. Those are typically and those are fairly easy to drop into any part of the day.
Or sit in the hammock and read.
And read, right? But those are, we don't really, you're right, we don't schedule anything really other than, well, we got to take the dogs for a walk, or I'd like to go for a walk around the lake, or whatever it ends up being, right? And you're right, we drop off, we have general ideas. And I think that's the difference, is we have, the one thing I've noticed is our weeks become really, it's not a rigid kind of approach. And you've been really good at, well, Tuesday is Willow's day. So whatever Willow wants to do, we're going to do, right? Wednesday is your day. I got to work Thursday. So you guys are going to have to entertain yourselves or whatever. And the girls get used to that really easily. And I think they default. They do. They just wander around the woods for hours and hours, and then come back and tell us all the things that they built and did and whatever, right? So, but you have to set them up to be able to go figure it out on their own.
Yeah. And even just being together, like I think on one of the last podcasts we were talking about, like you and I were just hanging out and we grabbed a book, and then Mai came in and she's like, well, like just wanted to be with us, but just grabbed a book. So parallel play is fantastic. I think we worry so much when they're young and they're only parallel playing. We're like, oh my gosh, because they're not cooperatively joint interactive playing. No, parallel play is great, where you don't have to say anything. You don't have to interact, just side by side as you read, or side by side as you paint, or side by side as you do whatever it is that you're doing. And so I think it's still finding those moments of connection, but not feeling they do. And I say this all the time. I'm going to say it. I've said before, I know I'm going to say it again, but they do need to be bored. Mm-hmm. But just making sure we're disconnecting from screens, that's still really important. How can you take away screens for the summer so that they can figure out? Because just so you know, if they're in screens, they're not going into that mind wandering connections. Like, they need to have that boring time for their brain just to wander or to create or to think. And screens robs that of them. So that's not downtime either, right? For them to be able to do that. So I guess that's the thing. And I think we've kind of touched on a few things, but just in how can we still connect, use this time to build our relationship? That was really what I was going at,
Yeah.
right? But in a solid foundation, because it's not just spending time, but we're nagging each other. It's spending time together. We're planting seeds so that they do look forward to hanging out with us, even if we're not engaging in deep conversations or anything, right? We're just enjoying each other's company and we're creating that safety because kids can be mean, teachers can be mean, schools aren't always, their safe haven. So just creating that safe haven with our kiddos where we have that safety and that love and that, all of that, but taking away the pressure of us feeling like we need to entertain them and teach them and stimulate them every second of the day.
Yeah. And I think it's important to make a distinction here too. We reference the lake a lot, right? When we talk about these sort of things, that's not a requirement. We are extremely lucky to have that. And we realize that, but you can still do the same things that you're talking about at your house. Right. And it started for us before we had the cabin, where we would go camping or we would just plan to go out and do different things that, to your point, separated from screens, right?
Well, even just the other day when it was nice, one of the first nice days, Willow and I took a towel into our backyard and we laid down and we just read. Like she had her Archie comics and I had a book and we just sat there and read and dipped shreddies into peanut butter.
Because that's what you do. But I think that's the important thing is it doesn't take these huge constructs, right? It really just takes I don't want to say mindful, but a very deliberate approach to disconnecting from the things you don't want to be intruding and just being present in what it is you're going to be doing with the kid. Like I'm very lucky. If I have to run errands, 9 times out of 10, Willow will ask to come with me. Yeah. She doesn't participate. She'll bring a stack of books. But we've built up this habit where we spend time just hanging together, right? We'll listen to music in the truck. We'll joke around. She'll read her thing, whatever. And I mean, they're awful errands. It's like going to the dump or having to go to the recycle. But she loves doing that. And I'm cool with that because I'm not forcing it. It's not something she has to do. She's chosen to come. And to your point, just be in parallel to what I'm doing. And I've noticed a lot of that in the house too, right? Your example about Maya, Willow's always kind of with us. She always just kind of, but even so, it's just doing her thing.
Even when we do these, she loves coming in. She gets one of those big squishimals and loves laying in. She's not with us today, but loves sitting in, but she'll just read as we're doing our podcast.
Yeah. So
just being in the space.
Well, and I think that's really important is just don't go in with any expectations of the outcome other than I'm going to do this thing or you're going to do this thing. And we're just going to kind of orbit each other in a way that we're comfortable with. And then whatever happens, happens. 9 times out of 10, it ends with someone having an idea of, oh, I would like to do this. And then we wander off and do the other thing. Right. But again, it comes down to not forcing the moment, not over planning the moment, just simply recognizing that there's an opportunity and going and chilling out.
Going back to basics, like save your Cheerios box. Get a little bin, save your Cheerios, your popsicle sticks, your ice cream cartons, like all of those things, save them, rinse them out. Yeah, it's a little bit of extra work, but then get your kids to just create, go and make something, like that kind of stuff. Remember that one, Maya made a whole world out of like a Cheerio box. I still have it. Like it's unbelievable. Just so
Do you remember the huge box city she made that we couldn't take down for 7 months?
I loved that. It was like probably 400 square feet of boxes that she would put together. And she made did she put lights in and a little, a little.
She had a pulley for the door.
Pulley, but in the little top, like a almost like a chimney where she could peek out and she had little like binocular holes. Oh yeah. I forgot about that. Amazing.
Oh yeah. But that's because we left her alone. It sure did. And it was not allowed to be touched. Yeah. It was kind of cumbersome.
Go into it.
That's true. Because the part that we had puppies then, but it's those sort of things. Like I've wandered away and gone and done like yard work and come back in and they've set up a full camp on the main floor, like tent and all the pieces that they could find. And all right, cool. Like, have fun, because I think that's part of it as well, is we don't run a super shiny household.
No.
Our house is very used.
Yeah.
Right. I wouldn't say that it looks like squatters live here, but some days I could understand the confusion.
Well, my is always embarrassed to bring friends because she does think that it looks like a squatter's house.
But at the same time, that's kind of by design, though.
Yeah, totally.
This is the kids can kind of run amok house, and it's not that they're destroying it. It's not whatever. But we have friends with amazing houses and amazing furniture and all these things, and they are constantly yelling at their kids to not do stuff.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Well, even families that I work with are like, don't you, what would you do if they were breaking stuff? I'm like, man, if there was anything to break in my house, then maybe, but there is nothing. Like literally our living room has got Snape, like Harry Potter pictures.
Yeah.
Pictures that the kids painted when they were like 3 months old.
Yeah. And as the kids get older, the rooms are reflecting that maturity,
The
right?
bookshelves are all art supplies and games. Yeah.
And we'll walk in and
paint everywhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of paint on our hardwood. But that to me is probably one of the things that we didn't talk about. We never planned. But again, it comes down to we don't care. Everything is fixable. Everything is fixable. The hardwood, before we sell this place, when we're selling,
your kids are more important than a picture frame at the
100%.
end of the day, you know.
As long as they don't hurt themselves, I don't care. Yeah. Like they've put holes in our ceiling, they put holes in our walls. It's all fixable. It's all fixable. Yeah. I wish they would leave my expensive Yeti stuff alone. I gotta admit that's kind of gets under my skin.
Is that?
Yeah, that's my $60 water bottle that she's taped with stickers.
I saw that the other day.
Yeah. Anywho, that's fine. It's all replaceable. But it all is, right? Like, even that annoys me. I know at the end of the day, I can just clean it and I can get all the sticky stuff off.
And we've got ADHD and I love it. Like, I don't know what she's doing, but there's a hair dryer extended to its full length out of her bathroom into our hallway.
I have kicked that almost every night walking past that bathroom, and I still don't know what's going on with it.
I still love the kid who one night stayed up and it was in a hotel room, stayed up all night. He was so proud of himself, took every piece of clothing, like parent, sibling, his, and made a rope that was able to go out the window and touch the ground outside of his hotel room.
Did he climb it?
No, but like just those things, like just the imagination, right? Yeah. So parents woke up, of course, they were in a rush the next morning. They had to catch a flight. They were very angry at him, but I'm like, I love it. Just that creativity. Yeah. And he even got underwear. Like, how do you tie underwear together? But every single piece of clothing was incorporated into this rope, and like, it's just being able to take that step back and see the ingenuity and the creativity. And, like, I've seen pictures of kids, like babies, essentially, who are still in cribs, who someone left markers with them, and they're covered. They're covered. Their wall is covered. Yep. Their crib is covered. Like, they're creative. These are emerging Picassos.
Our doors, every door in this house, every time I look at the doors, and the doors to the bedrooms in this place are awful. They're probably the one thing about this house I don't really like. But I also don't want to replace them because the kids still use them. They post stuff on it. They draw stuff on it. They stick stuff on it. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, why would I remove that with something and replace it with something nicer that I then need to tell them don't, right? Eventually, they'll stop doing it anyways. I know I'll be able to replace them and have super nice doors. And at the end of the day, who gives a what? So I think it is just important. Yeah, it all comes down to just remove any of the rigidity that dominates your 9-to-5 life, your weekday life, and try and introduce just as much free time, right?
And maybe a space, because we do have one space that the kids will leave stuff in, but they haven't destroyed it, right? Like, because it is kind of our nicer, formal, like around the fireplace kind of sitting area. So they can learn boundaries. They're not just, I don't want people to think either that they're running amok and we have a farmhouse, maybe a little bit of a farmhouse, but you know what I mean? But giving them this, but they also have that space where they're not going to freak out if they do spill some paint or I wish they maybe had a little bit more of that, but like that they can just be and do and create and have that freedom to explore. So maybe that's it. It's about letting your kids explore. Exploration, curiosity is so important for resilience, for attachment, for security, all the things that we want. We are doing too much. And I think I've used the analogy of the snow globe before, right? Like we're just trying to get that snow. We want the snow to settle and to get it down. And we're working so hard, but you do nothing. You just put it down and it's going to settle. But they need that.
Yeah.
And if we are always there, they're never going to have that opportunity to explore and be curious. And so, like I keep saying, I'm really worried about our future generation and just what the world's going to look like, because I don't know if we're going to have the innovators and the creators and the inventors to move our society.
We will, but they won't be in North America. They'll be in other countries that don't operate the same way we do.
Yeah. Because right? I think you asked once off air about, are we regressing as a human species? And we do see cycles, and I really do worry that we are going to see it significantly before our eyes. Yeah. Idiocracy.
The documentary, you mean?
Yep. Here we come.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think there are things that we can do that if we just trust that nothing can become something, that will answer a lot of questions down the road. 100%. And again, if you have stuff in your house that is so expensive that it is irreplaceable and you would prioritize that over your kid, that's completely fine. That is your choice. But just remember, it was your choice.
Well, I have a few families right now who the kids will go for like the most, like the iPad or the phone and destroy it because that gets their parents riled up. I'm like, just hide it away then. And like, if you're so worried and you can't make the connection with your kid the way that you want to, and that's why we're here, then maybe put it away so that you just take that threat right out of it. So you don't have to worry because the parents will be like, but I can't keep my cool when my kid breaks it. Like it's too hard to co-regulate. I'm like, well, just take that away. But anyway, all this to say, I'll ask you what your biggest takeaway. I think my biggest takeaway is using the summer to connect and explore and maybe have a discovery of the day. What was your discovery of the day where we can come together and, kids can talk about whatever it was, whether they found something, they went on a walk, they saw something, or maybe they created something.
I think for me, the biggest thing is modeling that comfort of just being around each other, right? Yeah. And to model it, meaning don't check your work email, right? Don't check your phone. Don't worry about sports scores. Don't worry about the outside world. Just make the decision to be present, whether they're immediately with you or not. It will demonstrate to them that behavior and give them the opportunity to emulate it and come to their own realizations and discoveries and all that other stuff.
And just to be in existence without feeling the urge to talk or fill it. That's important too.
Yeah. Really. Find the quiet spaces and be okay not filling it.
Yeah. Amazing.
That's a high five ending.